everyone, and welcome to Boogie Mama Riffs. Today we're going to be reviewing AC/DC Let There Be Rock Australian version versus Highway to Hell, which as far as I know there's only one version of it other than the covers. Let There Be Rock was recorded in 1977, and a year before that, in 1976, Atlantic Records actually knocked back AC/DC's album Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which was to be released at a later date. You may have seen that on one of my previous reviews. And Atlantic were not only, that was the big American company, were not only going to drop the album, they were considering dropping the whole band because of the album Dirty Deeds. Anyway, so instead of just typical AC/DC with their, what do they call it, their mob mentality, they just said, nah, screw them, we're just going to do whatever we want, we're not going to change for them, we're not going to change for nobody. And so AC/DC came back to Australia. They used to record back in Australia with Vanda and Young, and they just said, you know, let's just do the most guitar-y album we can, just to we'll show them, you know. And apparently George Young said to Angus and Malcolm, he said, what kind of record do you want to make? And they said, we just want to do an album with a lot of riffs, you know. So they recorded Let There Be Rock in 1977. That was the last album they did with Mark Evans. And I just think the album they brought out then, America accepted, and Atlantic Records accepted Let There Be Rock, although they changed one track. They dropped Crabsoddy in Blue, we'll talk about that in a minute, and replaced it with Problem Child, which was originally on AC/DC Dirty Deeds. And also, I'd just like to touch on Highway to Hell. But obviously between those albums, they had Power Age and If You Want Blood, and then there was a big controversy, you could say, about hitting, you know, the radio market for AC/DC to get big in America, and the record company were pushing for them to have a new producer, and apparently they didn't mind, you know, Harry Vanda being let go, but then George Young, you know, who's like the 6th member of AC/DC, and they were literally forced to drop their producer George Young, or Vanda and Young, who'd been with them since the start, helped them write songs with all their experience, all that stuff. And then apparently this is in 1979, AC/DC worked with Eddie Kramer in Miami for a few weeks, and apparently they didn't get along. I don't want to say too much because I like Eddie Kramer as a mixer, engineer, but yeah, apparently AC/DC, you can imagine AC/DC getting along with Eddie Kramer. For some reason, in 3 weeks, they didn't get anything done, apparently. Didn't get anything down in 3 weeks. The band, some people just don't match, you know what I mean? Sometimes people just don't get along. And they made a decision, I'm not sure it was the band, probably Malcolm must have said, hey, you know, why don't we just tell this guy Eddie to, you know, we're having the day off tomorrow and we'll just come in and put down some tracks and without him. And apparently on that Saturday, they came in, I think Bon Scott said that, they came in on the Saturday and they put down 6 tracks without Eddie Kramer, recorded them, and then sent them off to Robert Mutt Lange and said, you know, can you do anything with these songs? And you can probably write in the comments, I don't mind if people are nice about it and they correct me, but yeah, as far as I know, there's another album I put up on the screen called AC/DC Vaults, which came out in the Bonfire set, and there's some pre-Highway to Hell tracks on that. So I think maybe, in my opinion, that's the 6 tracks they worked on that day, and I like some of those. We might talk about that at a later date, but today we're just going to do a track by track, just quickly to finish off this review. Oh, and as you know, Highway to Hell just went platinum, you know. There was things like Mutt Lange, AC/DC weren't getting along with him particularly. He worked, instead of them doing an album in a few weeks like they normally did, they ended up doing 3 months with Mutt Lange, and he was teaching Bon how to sing one time, and Bon was basically going to tell him where to go. He said, well, you know, you do it. And so Mutt Lange, a trained singer, taught him how to do it and breathe for certain songs on the Highway to Hell album. And also Mutt Lange was given Angus instructions apparently on how to play a certain solo, and Angus goes, well, you do it, and Mutt Lange just grabbed the guitar, ripped it up and said, this is how you do it. So he really, in my opinion, Mutt Lange brought AC/DC up to the next level with Highway to Hell, Back in Black. For those about to rock, that's Back in Black's really where they went, Quantum. And so yeah, in my opinion, it was a great album. But today we're just going to do a quick track by track, as I said, on AC/DC Australian version of Let There Be Rock versus Highway to Hell. And there's actually more tracks on Highway to Hell, so somehow we're going to work through this. So the first song is Go Down. Oh, I remember getting this album, Let There Be Rock, in a record store, and the outside it was all scratched, so I never ended up hearing the start of Go Down until years later. So that's one of my favourite songs, Go Down versus Highway to Hell. Whoa. Go Down versus Highway to Hell. I'm going to go, I'm going to go Down, just to be different. Dog Eat Dog versus Girls Got Rhythm. Dog Eat Dog. Let There Be Rock versus Walk All Over You. I'm going to give it to Walk All Over You. That's a nice fast song. And the last song on side one of Let There Be Rock is Bad Boy Boogie versus Touch Too Much. I already checked Bad Boy Boogie, so let's go with that. And there's actually an uneven number of songs here, so what I did was I added in Problem Child from the American Let There Be Rock to go against Beating Around the Bush, so I think we go Beating Around the Bush for that. And then we flip the album over, or flip the side over. The first song of side two is Overdose versus Shot Down in Flames. Oh, I'll go Overdose. Okay, now the slightly controversial song is Crabsody in Blue. I'm not sure if maybe the record company thought in America when they dropped it, thought it was a bit too much like the Jack or Big Balls or what they were thinking. Maybe they thought it was too much like a Dirty Deeds album song, so they dropped Crabsody in Blue. And AC/DC always did a slow song in each of their albums, as far as I know. So this was the slow song, was Crabsody in Blue on Let There Be Rock, and they dropped that and replaced it with Problem Child, in my opinion. Anyway, so Crabsody in Blue versus Get It Hot, because we're lining up the tracks for the next side. Crabsody in Blue versus Get It Hot. I'm going Crabsody in Blue. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be versus If You Want Blood. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. And now I've got one track left over on Highway to Hell, so it's Whole Lotta Rosie on Let There Be Rock versus Love Hungry Man and Night Prowler. So if you're going to put Whole Lotta Rosie up against Love Hungry Man and Night Prowler, I'm going to give it to the two songs. They win, of course. So at the end of the track by track, we'll just add up which album got the most votes. Let There Be Rock got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Highway to Hell got 1, 2, 3. Yes, so add the track by track battle, shall we call it. Let There Be Rock won the track by track. And thank you for joining us today. We're going to come up with something awesome. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I can't wait to bring you some cool music in our next video.